Hi, in this video on my fischertechnik TXT discovery controller and robot, I focus on two things. First thing is why is it ignoring the sensors and the sonar, and why is the camera action every time after start the same picture even though it's a different position. First I'm going to bring back the counter value, as you can see here. So I put the comments here, which also means that I have to add the TXT get current counter value smaller than 500. And then let's see else. Yes, this one, because this is the sonar, which should behave the same way. So see how this happens, or how this works out. In the run on the of the code. So with the slightly altered code and bringing back the pulse counter code, let's see what happens. If anything happens. After password, it is waiting for things to happen, which do. And for some reason it once again doesn't pass the while is one loop. So this is pretty irritating. I quit the code and start again. See what happens now, and yet again it doesn't get past the while everything is one loop. This is pretty boring to watch, but if the code doesn't do what it is supposed to do, so let's see how we can solve that. I comment the while one part out, restart the code, see what happens then. And go straight to the fourth camera action, so it skips the entire while is zero loop. and I uncomment the while one code, see what happens. All is on screen unfortunately, but when it runs successfully you see the robot moving, which does not happen. So I'm not quite sure what to do here and now. Okay, so for some reason if I because this might also be a problem, that this isn't this is a problem as well. So it may just be that one of the sensors is giving that problem. And let's just start the test from RoboPro to see if that is the case. And this is interesting because RoboPro refuses to connect to the controller. So now I'm not quite sure what to do, and I think I should bring the controller very close to the laptop right now. The robot is right now at some 30 centimeters away from the laptop, which is of course very close compared to the 2 meters it is when it is on the floor. And the Wi-Fi is functioning perfectly, which I can show you quite easily. I quit the program and this is easily done, so the connection is perfect. Then Robot TXT, Wi-Fi, I select the address, everything is fine, and this is taking too long. And now it works. So this shows that once again distance apparently does matter, but it also shows immediately that interface, that touch contact 2 isn't as flexible, because 1 with only slight touching is not as flexible either, by the way. Not each touch I do is resulting in a positive, and touch 2 is touch 1 is only touched once, released, and you see it is just clinging to the sensor, and this means that the working of my code is influenced with the by the hardware, because if I look at my code, it is completely dependent on the good working of well, let's ignore the sonar for now, but as you can see here, contact is 1, and if contact is 1 but we start this piece of code, and it is very much delayed. Here it is started with the while is 1 and the while is 2, and as you can see, the code hangs on while contact is 2 in this case. See here, contact 2, while contact 2 is 1, and while that is 1, it hangs in this code, which does explain why it, and while in here it doesn't do anything. So that explains why it just didn't run. And right now I'm not touching the second contact, and you see it just remains positive, and I cut it loose now, it's still 1, which is very, very strange. It is 1, it remains 1, while I release the contact and press the contact continuously. And what happened when I put this on ultrasonic, because I didn't test this yet. Ah, look at that, that doesn't even work. Not as flawless as it's supposed to be. How can that be? Ultrasonic doesn't respond at all. And I keep moving my hand in front of it. Okay, this is weird. Okay, let me release this. Do it again. I have to put ultrasonic to it. Now it is sensing the tripod for the camera, which I'm okay with. At least it senses it. And I'm moving the tripod away, and I'm moving it forward. So that works. Sensor 1, as you can see here, well, kind of. Pressing and releasing in a relaxed tempo works. And sensor 2 is pressed once but doesn't come back, and only with 8 it comes back. So I have to do with malfunctioning sensor, and that is ruining the whole experiment. So what to do with this? Fix it. So that's what I'm going to do next. To make perfectly clear what happens now is that this sensor 1 is pressed and you see it getting bounced back by the sensor, while this sensor, second one, is bouncing just a little bit back, but not enough to release the sensor. And I have to forcibly take it back and then it is released. So here is something that is not quite as it should be. It may be that I have to replace the sensor. So taking this part apart, replace it and test again. That is the solution. The only problem with the floor test is that it is not next to the computer, but about 2 meters distance. So we have to see how the connection is. And there it goes. But as you can also see, there is no stopping. It just pushes everything away and waits for the password for the camera command. So I do feel the air of the fan, but this is not the way it is supposed to happen. So I'm afraid end of this part of the experiment. And whether it's the code, I don't know. Anyway, I solved a piece of the hardware problem that doesn't solve clearly the problem with the sensor being touched and the sonar not responding at all to the battery packs. It should stop, which it doesn't. So, with one thing solved, I think the code works fine, but clearly something is not fine, and I think I leave that for the next time. So thank you for watching and to be continued.